Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul. Worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul. I'll worship Your holy name. Yes, I will worship Your holy name. Lord, I'll worship Your holy name.
So today, being Mother's Day, we're going to be talking about 4 extraordinary mothers in the Bible, okay? 4 different mothers that did a lot for their kids or for their family or for their husband, and we're going to learn some truths from them. Sort of. So Genesis chapter 11, verse 30.
Can I read it?
Yes, you can read it.
Sarai was unable to become pregnant and had no children.
Good. So the first mother we're going to talk about is Sarah, the mother who could not have children. That word barren, or without child, means that she couldn't have kids, that she was incapable of having children. And to a mother, not being able to have a child would be pretty sad, right? It'd be pretty terrible to think about. I mean, can you imagine being a mom or a wife of a husband not being able to have kids, not be able to produce the next generation? You know what I mean? So back in the day, in the old times of the Bible, having a child, especially a son, was very, very important. Why do you think that was?
So they could pass on.
Yeah, so they can pass on their line, right? So they can have the Kim family line go on forever, or the Min family line, or the Jin family line, right? In order to have a son, that's the only way you can produce kids. This is why it's so important for a mother to have a child. So for a woman not being able to produce a child at her age was pretty sad. A lot of people back in the day used to think that this was a curse, that God had a punishment on Sarah's life because she did something in the past. This is why she couldn't have kids. Okay? So this is a thought that a lot of people thought of why women couldn't have children. They thought that, God didn't bless Sarah, the wife of Abraham. It was almost like having a curse from God. And a lot of people viewed these people that were barren as like outcasts, people they didn't care about. Oh, she probably did something in the past that, ruined her future. This is why God's not letting her have a kid. But obviously that's not the case. The fact that Sarah, the wife of Abraham, was told that she could not bear any children was devastated. She didn't think that, I'm not going to have a family. I'm not going to have a future. And it was after this that God spoke to Abraham and made a covenant with him, saying, as part of this covenant, God told Abram and that he and Sarah would have a child that would be named Isaac. And God said, with this child will come many blessings, a lot of promises, that he's going to become a father of many nations. So upon hearing this from the angel, Sarah and Abraham, they both laughed. You got to remember, these guys they're both like, I think, 190 years old. And they were told that they were going to have a kid. Remember back in the day, people lived a lot longer than they do now. Maybe, I think the average lifespan of a normal human being, let's put it that way, is about 70 or like 65 or so. That's the average lifespan, which is pretty sad. It's higher in more like Asian countries, like China and like Korea, so I think maybe like 80 to 90. But in America, it's really, really low. 65 or 70.
Because of McDonald's.
I'm to be honest, because of like maybe genetically modified food, maybe fast food, maybe stuff like that. But the lifespan of a man is pretty short. Which is kind of, if you think about that, think about how old you guys are now, and compare that to 75. You've already lived like, maybe like 15 or like 20% of your life. If I'm 25, technically I lived a third of my life. So just think about that. It's kind of a dark, thought, of course, but it's something that we really do have to think about. During this conversation that God had with Abraham and Sarah, he changed their names from Abram to Abraham. And they changed Sarai's name to Sarah with an H. And they were told that they would become a people of many nations and they would keep the family line through their son Isaac. So here was Sarah that was told that she couldn't have a kid, that she was never going to have a kid, though they tried and stuff like that. But now an angel of the Lord came to him and told him, you're going to have a kid named Isaac. But obviously, like I said, they're 100 years old, they're 90 years old. They're thinking there's no way we're having a kid, and then they started laughing. But despite the things that they thought, God's promises went through. The couple waited for almost 25 years till God gave him a son by the name of Isaac. And that name Isaac means what, do you think? What do you think Isaac means?
Isaac means boy. Isaac is a Bible verse.
No. It's a Bible verse? I think it's Isaiah. Yeah, it means ha ha ha. It means laughter. It means he laughed. So that word Isaac means laughter. That was kind of awkward.
I'm giving you Isaac.
So Isaac was born, and the promises of God was kept. Now that the line of Abraham was going to be continuing forever and ever, the age that I think Sarah died was 127 years old. Can you imagine living that long?
Yeah.
So the second mother we're going to talk about is Jochebed. Does anybody know who this is? Jochebed. The mother of who? I have a feeling you guys probably don't know who it is.
Christ.
No.
Oh,
Okay. So the first one we talked about was who? Sarah. And the second one we're going to talk about is
Isaac.
Jochebed. Okay. So Jochebed was the mother of Moses. You guys know who Moses is?
Moses is the one that
He divided the sea and led his people from Egypt, right?
Good. So during this time when Jochebed was alive, there was a new king in Egypt who had just come to power, who became a pharaoh. And being the new pharaoh, he was worried about these Hebrew people that were growing outnumbered, that were growing stronger and stronger and stronger. So what do you think his decision was in order to take care of all those people?
Attack.
Yeah, to kill them. To kill any Hebrew baby boy that was born so they can't reproduce. So they can't keep building their ranks or their numbers stronger. So this is a rule that the Pharaoh had. And in Exodus chapter 1, verse 22, it says, "And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, Every son that is born you shall cast into the river being the Nile River of Egypt, and every daughter you shall save alive." So that's a pretty dark statement. It's a pretty, obviously, every single baby boy that's born that's Hebrew is going to be killed in order for the Pharaoh to keep his power. And now we come to the story of Jochebed, the mother of Moses, and we see that Jochebed had given birth to Moses. And she tried to keep this baby hidden for about 3 months. But obviously in the land of Egypt, there's people everywhere, there's spies everywhere. You probably can't hide a baby even though you try, you know what I mean? So she did this for about 3 months, and she had to come to an opportunity to try to save her kid. So what she did is she made a basket weaved out of papyrus, which is like some kind of reed plant in Egypt. And on the outside of the basket, because of all the reeds and like the roots, there's going to be holes. So she covered the outside of the basket with tar and pitch, which is like some kind of oil in that sense. So when she put the basket in the river, what do you think would happen? It'd flow, right? Why do you think she put the baby in the basket in the river?
So someone can find the baby.
Yeah, so someone could find the baby. So the person that found the baby happened to be the Pharaoh's daughter. This is the evil king's daughter, okay? So upon seeing that, she opened the basket, she notices it's a Hebrew baby boy. And knowing her father and the rule that he had decreed that every Hebrew baby boy is supposed to be killed, she immediately knew someone was trying to save her kid. Does it make sense? Obviously. Knowing that her dad was the Pharaoh, knowing that the Pharaoh had decided to kill every single Hebrew baby boy, she knew what the mother was going through. So she decided to take care of the kid, even though being, the Pharaoh's one daughter, I believe. So the mother that she had to raise to help her raise baby Moses happened to be Moses' actual mom, Jochebed. And it's crazy to me to think that even though all this stuff is happening, I'm sure, Jochebed is thinking there's no way that Moses is going to live, there's no way that God's going to take care of her kids. But through the faithfulness of her believing in that and understanding that, Moses became with her mom again, or with his mom again. Does it make sense? Even though she tried to save her kid and, thinking that he could possibly die, but tried to save her life, in the end, they were back together again. And it's an amazing thing that God always has a plan for everyone in our life. Whether it be for me, whether it be for you, whether it be for your parents, or your family, or your friends, God's will always makes sense. I know at times when maybe you're in school, or especially me when I was in college or high school, thinking that I had my whole life planned out, you know what I mean? Thinking that I was going to go to veterinary school, graduate maybe in 5-6 years, and then live my life from there. Everything changes in God's will. I remember my parents, they were telling me to do a 1 year in a Bible college. And I was thinking, I don't want to go to a Bible college. I don't want to hear preaching. I don't want to hear hymn music and, standing in front of people and like sharing the gospel and stuff like that. And to be honest, to be quite frank, I thought it was a dumb idea. There was no way I was going to go there and, become a pastor one day or a missionary or a youth pastor one day. And I immediately threw that thought away. But since I was under my parents' house, and obviously I can't go like, I'm going to go move out and live in an apartment, because obviously I'm broke and I have a car. I can't move out at 18, of course. Maybe you can't be good at finding a job, but at that point in time, I couldn't. So I was stuck there for 1 year. And I stayed in 1 year Bible college, and I was completely shocked of what Christianity really was. And the teachers there, and the people there. And the impact that these people that believed in something so strongly that they would give their life for, that they would die for. Like I mentioned before, I have friends that are missionaries that are going to North Korea, that are going to China. They're literally risking their lives to share something that we in America can listen to every single day. You know what I mean? It's a lot to take for granted, especially in here. Like I said last week too, we're in church, we're in our chairs, we're in an air-conditioned building. Speaking of, I'm going to turn it on. It's hot. Yes. And we're here in a first world country just blessed in a sense. We're not worried about, people coming in here and ruining the service or stopping the service or the government coming in here and shutting us down. We have the freedom of religion here in America. And when you compare that to a third world country like China or maybe Africa or like Afghanistan or Iraq, people like that believe, they immediately get killed. And this is the faith that they're looking at. This is American Christianity compared to that. And it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to take for granted for sure. So here was Jochebed, knowing that her son has a chance of dying. So she took the risk and took a leap of faith and put the baby in the basket in a river, and obviously prayed to God saying, please save my child. And because of her faith, because of her patience, because of her strength, Moses became someone that we still talk about today. Someone that parted the Red Sea, someone that became a great man of faith. Someone that, released all the slaves out of Israel, that became the savior for the Hebrew people. All because of what? A mother's love and care for a child. So the next one I want to talk about is Hannah. This is the mother of Samuel. So in 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 11, it reads, and she vowed a vow and said, O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thy handmaid, which is talking about herself, and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid. Once again, this is Hannah again. But will give thou unto thy handmaid a man-child, basically saying a baby. Then I will give unto him the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall be no razor come upon his head. Okay, so Hannah was the wife of a man named Elkanah. And this couple lived in the hill country of Ephraim, and Hannah was another mother who could not have kids as well. Just like Sarah, she was not able to bear children. And she was barren and upset for about the longest time, and finally one day, she couldn't bear no longer being able to bear kids. That she couldn't stand the fact that she couldn't have a kid. So she went into the temple of God to pray to God, saying, if you give me a child, I promise you that I will dedicate his life to you. What do you think that means? If God grants Hannah a baby, she says like this, but will give unto thine handmaid, which is Hannah, a man-child, which is a kid or a baby. Then I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life. What do you think that means? And I will give him unto the Lord all the days of his life. Yeah, to dedicate to him, to make him, either to be a priest or a missionary, or to be honest, just a Christian. Someone like us in that sense. So do you think God granted that wish for Hannah?
Yeah.
Probably, right? So not long after her visit to the temple to present her request to the Lord, she was found with child. When she gave birth to her son, she called him Samuel, which means asked of God. Which means that God, he asked of God. She wanted this child in that sense. Like this was a reward for that prayer. And Hannah didn't forget her promise to the Lord either, and as soon as Samuel was born, she presented him to the Lord and to the priest Eli, saying, this is the child that I prayed for, and I want him to become a Christian. I want him to become dedicated to the Lord. And this was just the beginning of Samuel. Do you guys know anything about the prophet Samuel? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Did you eat something?
I know.
You do? What do you know about Samuel?
It was like talk to God, or God talked to Samuel when
Yeah.
Eli.
Like a prophet, right? Good. One of the two people that prophet Samuel influenced was King David and King Solomon. And these are one of the kings of Israel that were very strong, very powerful, very wise. Like I mentioned last week on Wednesday during Proverbs, we talked about Solomon, him being known for being the wisest king in the world. And this is the impact that one child had. This is the impact that one kid had because of, once again, a mother. So you guys seeing the connection here? Yeah? No? Okay. Let's talk about the last one. This is Mary. Okay. Luke chapter 1, verse 31. Someone want to read this line? And the angel said to her, fear not, Mary, for thou hast found favor with God, and behold, thou shalt conceive in thy womb and bring forth a son. And shall call his name Jesus. He shall be great, and shall be called the Son of the Highest. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father David, and he shall reign over the house of Jacob forever, and of his kingdom there shall be no end. Okay, so we know Mary obviously is the mother of who? Jesus. And Jesus is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. So Mary was born into a poor family in the small town of Nazareth. She had a fiance at the time named Joseph. And eventually one day, she was engaged to him. And that was a kind man that was stable, and that was just, and that was nice, in that sense. And there was a lot of respect for this guy. So in Luke chapter 1, verse 31, this is what the angel said to Mary, the mother of Jesus. As we just read right there. The angel basically came to Mary saying, you are going to bring forth a son, and his name shall be Jesus Christ. And the son that you bring forth is going to be, is he going to be human? Kind of, okay. He's going to be the Son of God. It says he shall be called the Son of the Highest, which is obviously talking about God. And the Lord God shall give unto him the throne of his father, and shall reign over the house of Jacob forever and ever. This is talking about Jesus' power. This is talking about Jesus' reign, who Jesus Christ is. So this is very, very important. And at the same time, the angel of the Lord visited Joseph and told exactly what he had told Mary. The same thing, that, listen, your wife is going to have a kid, and this is going to be God's son. This is going to be Jesus Christ. So shortly after the birth of Jesus, Joseph and Mary took him into the temple to be dedicated. To say, God, this is your son, what should we do with him? What is his life going to be? What is his will going to be? So upon arriving at the temple, they met a godly man named Simeon. And that Simeon told Mary this: "This boy shall be the greatest joy to some, but others in Israel shall cruelly reject him, and a sword shall pierce your soul." This is talking about Jesus. Just think about that. This boy will be the greatest joy to some, but others in Israel will cruelly reject him, and a sword shall pierce your soul. This is talking about Mary herself, saying that someone's going to pierce your soul, not physically, but spiritually. So perhaps this was Mary's first warning of what was to come. But even though she knew what was to come, she wasn't scared of the fact and all the dark sayings and all the dark warnings that was given about Jesus Christ. As Jesus grew and painted and pointed to his unique identity as the Son of God, his mother was there faithfully and silently and patiently with him all the time that she was there. And we view Mary as the most privileged person to be a vessel for God, to bear the Son of God. And however, at times, I don't think we realize, the price that she paid. When Jesus, began his ministry, surely Mary, the mother of Jesus, had to be worried that possibly he's going to die, that possibly that he was going to be killed. Upon hearing that statement from that prophet Samuel saying a sword is going to pierce his soul, you think she'd be a little worried, trying to figure out, is that a physical sword? Is that an emotional sword? Is that a spiritual sword? She's wondering what the life of Jesus is supposed to be. And yet for Mary, we can understand that God gives grace to those who believe in him. God gives grace to those who have faith in him, those that trust in him. And Mary was a great example of what a mother should be. Someone that stays with this child to the end, even to death. And you see, obviously we know that Jesus Christ was crucified, and that he was killed, and that he was buried, and he rose again on the third day. But even at the death, or the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, Mary was still there. Mary was at the foot of Christ, the one that was, hanging on the tree, still being his mom, still being that mother figure in his life. And to think that she did that even though she knew that there was a possibility of her dying, there was a possibility of, hey, are you Jesus' mother? Of course they're going to kill someone like that. But despite all the hardship that she faced, she was still there. And what do you think the Bible is trying to paint with an image of Mary like that? He's trying to show that God's character is like that. When we think about a mother that's loving, that's caring, or not just a mother, or even a dad, or a father, or maybe a guardian, or a grandparent in that sense. Someone that takes care of you, someone that loves you, someone that really wants something better for your life. That same characteristic is there so that we can understand who better? God. So we can understand Jesus Christ. So today being Mother's Day, we can learn a lot. We can learn from the patience and the faithfulness of Sarah, of not being able to produce a child. And when she did, her son became, a father of many nations, having Isaac as a son. We can learn from Jochebed. This is the mother of Moses, one that, birthed Moses, who was a great man of faith, who we recognize as a stepping stone in Christianity, of someone that has great faith, of someone that hopefully one day we can attain to be like one day. To make sure that, she made sure that her Moses baby was alive, and that, his life would be lived for God, and he took that step of faith. We can learn from the mother of Hannah, once again, the mother of the prophet Samuel. Because of, her desperation and her willingness and her patience, she pleaded with God and was finally granted a son that was named Samuel. And this son became a prophet who molded and shaped the lives of both King David and King Solomon to live their life as two mighty kings of Israel. And then finally we have Mary, the mother of Jesus, who was and still is technically the Son of God. Who stuck with the child, Jesus, the Son of God, through thick and thin, through good times, through bad, through every step of the way, even to the point of death. And she was right by his side. And it's all these examples that we see, we can apply to ourselves. We can understand, this is how Christianity is supposed to be. This is the life that we're supposed to live. This is the way that these are things that we can learn from these four mothers in the Bible today. I know a lot of times, teenagers and young adults think that their mom and dad mostly nags them. They always feel like, they're getting on their case about not cleaning their room, not getting good grades, not doing good in school, or not doing their chores, or making a big mess at home. But we can lose sight of how much our mom and dad or our parents or our guardians or our grandparents, anyone that watches over us, really does love us. Really is supposed to care for you. As a believer, as a Christian, their duty is to make sure that you live your best life. Not just physically, but spiritually. I know in some cases we have situations in families where the mother is not there, or the dad's not there, or both are not there. You have to understand, this is why we don't rely on people. This is why we don't have faith in humanity. The one person that we could really, truly rely on is always going to be who? God. God's going to be there. He's going to be the first person to be there before your mom, before your family, before your friends, before your dad, as long as you are under his sleep. As long as you're a child of God. As long as you're a Christian. As long as you're a son and daughter of God. I'm not saying, forget about your mom and dad. I'm just saying all these attributes of mothers that we just talked about and of fathers that we learned about all contributes to who the character of God is. How God is supposed to be there as I think there's a verse in the Bible that says where God's like a mother hen protecting her kids, protecting her children, protecting her chicks in that sense. And we have to understand that, God's character is molded after a mother's character. That they're there to protect you, that He's here to watch over you, that He's here to make sure that you live your best life here spiritually so that one day you can change the lives of others, especially as a believer. So the last thing I wanted to say is, or for us to think about is, to make sure that we understand that God's love is never ending, never fading, and there's nothing we can ever do for Him to stop loving us, if that makes sense. Once we become a child of God, once we are under His rule, under His reign, under His authority, we're going to be protected by God. We're going to be in His will. Like I said, especially as teenagers, it's going to be hard to try to figure out what God has planned for your life. Maybe it's time that we stop sinning. Maybe it's time that we stop using bad language. Maybe it's time we stop doing things that will deteriorate our faith in Christ. We don't want to become a testimony that, hey, I know he's a Christian, but why does he cuss? Why does he curse? Why does he watch things he's not supposed to watch? Why does he say things he's not supposed to watch? This is why it's very important. I'm going to hit on this over and over and over again with you guys. Being a Christian means you're different. Not just on the outside, not just coming to church in a suit and tie, but a change on the inside. You know what I mean? Whatever's on the inside, one day is going to come out, eventually on the outside. The most important thing is God doesn't care about how you dress in church. Because the main focus, if He had to choose a priority for everything, is He wants your inside to change. And obviously, if you really change, the outside will change. Your speech will change, your talk will change, the type of music we listen to will change, the things we watch will change, our attitude will change, the friends that we have will change. There's a difference between a Christian and a non-Christian. And this is something that we all have to know, this is something that we all have to understand. And this is something that we all need to apply and to think about for sure.
Amen.
Let's go in there in a word of prayer, and then I'll have another announcement and we'll be dismissed. Let's go in prayer. Dearly Father, we just thank you for this day. Just thank you for just another wonderful day for mothers, that we can celebrate the life that these mothers lived and how they've taken care of their children and just watched over us as they're supposed to. Once again, we just pray for those teams that couldn't make it today, whether they're sick or whether they couldn't make it. Just pray that you watch over them, just give them safety throughout the week, and just to watch over them and protect them. And just pray that you just bring them back to us safely this following week. We just thank you for this day. Just thank you for just giving us another day of life to live. I just pray that we don't ever take that for granted, and just pray that we have a good rest of the day, and that we just be safe in your hands. And we thank you for everything. In Jesus' name I pray.
How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He should give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns His face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection.